My name is Wojtek Pilczynski.
My name is Kasia Kociomyk.
And you are listening to the Pursue Vegas podcast.
The idea of Pursue Vegas was to really highlight the local people that really make Vegas, Vegas.
I love that aspect of how these visionaries are actually bringing people together.
When we hit record, our responsibility is to connect the people of our city so we can show the world who we really are. All right, welcome back to the Pursue Vegas podcast. I'm your host, Dave Berlin.
And I'm your co-host, Tani Nguyen.
And we are...
Pick a word, any word.
Very excited.
Oh, fuck.
So do we.
We are. I'm really excited about today's conversation because it's not very often that as Tani and I have been working together, we get to introduce each other to new remarkable people in Las Vegas, and had the honor of meeting today's guests at their home and looking at some of their beautiful artwork and everything that they're working on. We have Wojtek and Kasia. Kasia. See, I got it. I got it. Not Kesha, by the way. Not Kesha.
With the money
Not
sign.
the grain.
Not with the dollar sign.
Yeah.
No, so grateful to have you guys on today's show. And
Thank you.
This episode may not do it justice because it's just something that you have to experience to be able to come into your home and see everything that you guys have not just created from an art perspective, but just in community as well. So grateful to have you on the show. Tell us about you. Tell us about your story, what you're excited about. All the things. We're diving in.
Go off,
We're
queen.
diving in.
Oh, my
Ladies
Lord.
first.
Should
It's
I start or you
it's gonna be a lot. Who's
Well,
gonna start?
First of all, thank you. Yeah, thank you for sitting down with us. I know time.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Well, yes, exactly. And this time is beautiful, and it was just great to have you at our home and meet you both. It's just terrific energy and terrific people to communicate with the message they want to kind of communicate with Vegas. Vegas folks, and so Kasia, do you want to say something first and about yourself?
Well, so I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Kasia Kociomyk. I'm professional Polish painter. I received my education in Poland. My hometown is Bielsko-Biała, south of Poland. I was lucky to be admitted to Great Art High School, which actually my father graduated from too. So it was like a family tradition. Then I applied to Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw. It was still time when there was not too many art schools in Poland as far as college education. So I got very lucky. I got admitted with first approach. And after 5 years of education, studying under really great professional Polish painters in the 90s, I'm so lucky because many of them, they are no longer with us, unfortunately. I graduated in 1998, and since that time I work as professional painter. I prefer realistic, surrealistic paintings sometimes with hint touch of abstract elements. And this is what I do for all those years. And I moved to United States in 2010. We started our collaboration with my husband, Wojtek. He used to own art gallery in Vermont. Beautiful one, award-winning, top 25 in nation. And since then, we are doing this together.
And for those listening that we need a little bit of a definition of what fine arts is.
Well, what fine art is, I hear very often that beauty is in art of beholder. But, wow, I'm still for art education. If they are self-taught artists, which is more power to them, I really admire people who are able to gain knowledge, educate themselves, having some self-guidance. This is, for me, this is even more impressive when people achieve great effects. And, art, this is actually quite close to science. It has a lot of rules. It has a lot of technology, techniques, and art history, which goes into this one big path, and when you somehow grasp this, you can pick and choose what you want to proceed. If you want to break the rules, great, like Picasso did. But you have to know the rules first. This is what I strongly believe in.
I love that. And thank you for establishing the strong foundation so that we have something to like dance on, you know?
Well, you know, if you want to dance, if you want to keep on dancing, if I may, I have a long time experience with on the other side. I've been an art promoter for many years, and my venture with art started about 30 years ago, and I unfortunately it never ends. You know, although sometimes it's painful. But
It's unfortunately.
And I just want to add because Kasia never says that she graduated on top of the class with masters in painting and also graphic design.
Yes, graphic design. It was focused on poster design, but this old-fashioned, not using computers. It was everything done by hand.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So
That's a thing?
that was a thing.
Actually,
yes.
Polish School of Poster Design, it was blooming through 60s, 70s in Europe. It was one of the best.
And it was actually used many times in American films and Hollywood
Yeah.
and things like that. So there's just we're talking about the strong foundation of which I think is important with the subject that we're going to be talking about today. And so our vision of fine art and our understanding of fine art kind of developed in a time when that word was still kind of sacred. You know, when we were thinking about fine art as something that is just almost hard to reach and is very, very exclusive, for the lack of a better word. And the things started to change. You know, society started to change, and we will move to a different country and things like that. And here we are in Las Vegas after so many years, after 5 different art galleries, after so many different clients and artists that we work with, and institutions and charitable works. We're finding ourselves in Vegas, and here we are in a different, completely environment where we still have those romantic type of beliefs and ideas, and we find it sometimes difficult to implement and inject in modern day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are really old school, old-fashioned, and we would love to preserve this even in part of this big, vast field which art is right now. Direct contact with clients, really good craft, and art based on this really good craft. So this is what we are for.
I love that. And I've thought about a lot about our conversation that we had at your house, and it's been fascinating because I know that in any community there's going to be goals that the community has, whether this be a community within a community. So we'll talk about the art community, but I'm also talking about Vegas as a whole. I feel like a lot of times the community is going in a certain direction, and it's evolving by things that are changing all the time. I thought a lot about what we had talked about in some of the challenges, and we're definitely going to dig into that. But I also, I want to have a little bit of grace too, because if you really look at Vegas in the global economy of things, while they are very much a global player in so many avenues, they're also a very young city. It's, barely, 100 years old. And it's evolved so many times because of the role that it plays in the rest of the world. And with that, we're getting some of the most remarkable artists, community leaders that don't necessarily fit where they come from, or they see an opportunity, a spark, something magic that's drawn them to Las Vegas. And sometimes that magic is a responsibility that we have to go make an impact. And we
Absolutely.
see a gap in a challenge that's happening in a community. I saw that in a different way, in more like entrepreneurship and things of that nature. You guys see that, and you see a lot of challenges, but also some opportunities that we have for the art community and artists who may be listening to this around the world of the things that are happening here in Las Vegas.
Well, if I may, you mentioned Vegas being about 100 years old. I do believe that the Vegas that we are mostly interested in, which is the community of Las Vegas and Henderson people who are moving here to actually stay here and live here and raise their children and get a satisfaction out of living in Las Vegas. It's even younger than that because I think that I feel even being here for only 7 years, I feel already there's a shift from the transient city that it always was and everybody was telling us about to the place where people actually want to live and they want to even maybe think about raising the generations of children. So with that, this is very exciting part of Las Vegas history when it's actually transforming to a city. Instead of just being a fun place to be and in and out or just a little venture town. So it's becoming more substantial with much stronger infrastructure, much stronger influence of creative and bright people, innovative people. So I think the opportunities are there, but from my previous experience, because I've been in those places that were going through transition, like Las Vegas is going through right now, and in that almost free-falling, sometimes chaotic atmosphere, you can create a lot of good, or you can create a lot of damage, or miss out on many opportunities that are being developed in a certain way, but not being carefully watched. And I believe art is a big part of that. When there's a lot of different things and a lot of different people coming to Vegas with the hopes of exposing and their creativity. But I think from our observation for 7 years, there is definitely an issue that is worth talking about.
And if I may, there is also additional challenge in Vegas. People which are very much settled in Vegas, people who were born in Vegas, people who live here for 30, 40 years. This is like completely separate society, which is very hard to enter because they learned that this is transient city, people come and go, so sometimes they are simply afraid to invest in any relationships. Even either this is a professional relationship or a personal relationship with newcomers.
Or creative relationship.
Or creative relationship, because you never know. People come and go. So gaining trust, this is also quite a work to proving yourself that you are here to stay, you are here to contribute.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I love the part where you said people are now planting roots here, and we're starting to kind of weed out the different pockets of people in this town and different communities, kind of like us. Like if we were to compare it to like a decade, then we're all transient. If that doesn't make the break of 5 years or whatever you want to call it, right? So we're working on the first initial 5 years of being established as a local, as earning your badges, as planting and building and adding value to the people in our community, and not just coming and taking and making fast money and burning relationships and burning bridges and it's just, leaving people worse than you find
or using
them.
people and leaving. This is the worst.
I think you mentioned something. The word which is to me is sometimes. I believe it's very important, but it's also very confusing. Meaning word local. Let's say, but let me just maybe speak of the field that we are familiar with. Let's say a local artist. Okay, what does it mean, local artist? Local artist is the one who lives, let's say, in Las Vegas, and that many times, it is people are attracted to the idea of a local artist. But from what we found, and forgive me, all of those who disagree with me, and I knew that I'm going to be controversial, that the majority of the local art is really not on a level that in many cases should be even considered art. Not just because it's on a canvas or it's made by somebody. It doesn't, in our opinion, doesn't make it art.
Yeah.
And I think that what we would like to do is like make a shift that local artists, that artists from Las Vegas is the artist that is affiliated with quality, no matter what the style or medium is, whatever the creativity, but it's affiliated with creativity. So, for example, people that's from Vegas prefer to buy art in New York or San Francisco, or they go on a cruise, or they go to Europe, and they prefer to do that because it's kind of hip place to buy. If we somehow, with time, can make a transition where that Vegas would be the place to buy art, that would be terrific. It would be absolutely fantastic to have, Las Vegas art shows like they have in New York, Miami. If we can LA, we can bring that in here, like Biennale or things like that. And there's definitely a lot of infrastructure that can accommodate that. But I think that if there is some sort of movement in that direction, I think we can attract just tremendous amount of terrific artists, and they will recognize that Vegas is a great place to live, and maybe we can create a much more stronger and more sophisticated art scene in Vegas.
And local artists are people who just start, who learn, can have great teachers around themselves.
Their motivations.
And motivation. There is nothing like going to the museums, going to the galleries. You can have teacher who's gonna explain you something, but older I am, less I believe in teachers actually. More I believe in you go places, you see pieces of artwork, you see how it's done, you analyze this, you take what works for you, and you build on this. Because becoming having an art teacher who is teaching people just their style, their way of thinking, it's like building mini-me. And art, this is about expressing yourself. So I really believe that this is quite a lonely journey when you have to look for things which are appealing to you, which you admire, and this is the best way to learn.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the challenges that I've seen, because in a way we're all artists, right? Especially entrepreneurs, especially artists, musicians.
Absolutely.
Even another fine art in the city, maybe not to the same definition, is food. Like food can be
this is art.
A massive part of art. And it's interesting. I work a lot with restaurants on one of the projects that I'm on, and there's in a whole industry, in almost every industry, there's people that come from ego, and then there's people that come from the true capacity to want to learn. I know because we have such a hodgepodge, and you mentioned like it being a lot of the same people that have been here for a long time. Sometimes that ego tries to protect and preserve what's maybe capped out at their true potential, right? And I believe that it takes catalysts like you and people that come from other communities, not just the quality of the art that you do, which your art is amazing. It's also the places that you come, the lessons that you've learned, and you've seen other communities that have got it right. You've seen other communities that have got it wrong, and we all have something to offer.
Yeah.
I think every kind of part of this community has the ability to learn from other communities or people that have come from other communities to say, hey, you may not realize that we're stuck.
Yeah.
in what we believe to be awesome.
The bubble of comfort.
Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
the bubble of comfort.
Very, very
and it's
well
like,
put.
how do you ever break out of that? Now, I will say that we've had, and while, again, it's a young city, we are still dusting off some of the residue from pandemic, which
Yeah.
challenged this city. It challenged everyone, but it challenged this city at a core that we're still seeing not just the repercussions of what that's caused, but we've also seen people a lot more open to being entertained and educated by people that have, had to rely on other springs of life, like art, where art, I think, has always been a result of this community. It's like, well, we have to have art too. And it's like people just kind of said, oh, let's do it. It was never someone that said, let's stop the world for a minute and make them realize the level of what's
But-
Well,
possible.
I also find, excuse me, honey. Also, the pandemic, I think it showed the resilience of Las Vegas, and it was just really wonderful to see that as well. That made us actually believe in staying here. But if there's any main thing that I would really would love to kind of project with this discussion is that I know and I met some, and I believe there are many more people who are really would love to do something to put something substantial, to put Las Vegas on an art map of, let's start with America. And in order to do that, I think you have to have a group of people who are like-minded. They have the same goal, and they think big in a direction that they can actually make a difference. The people from outside Las Vegas would pay attention to that. And if I may, it was just one of the part of our journey was living in Montecito, Santa Barbara, and if it wasn't for Montecito mudslides and fires and things like that, I hope that would come to fruition. We want to start a Montecito Art Festival, which was sponsored by Montecito Bank and Trust, and I had some meetings with them, and then there were some celebrities like Oprah and some other people, Ellen DeGeneres, and so there were people involved in that, and there was a sense of excitement to turn the streets, the main street of Montecito, into a beautiful, high quality art festival.
Yes, with artists from all over.
From all over, as many as we could get, and we have access to many. But but I think that if there was a group, if we can just maybe preach here for a while and send a signal to those who are feeling frustrated, who are feeling maybe there's no hope for that, or I don't have anybody to talk to about that, or maybe there are people just gonna reject my radical ideas. I don't believe in that. I think that the people can actually get together and create something, and even having art expo in Las Vegas, like the art expo in New York, and in another big city. I think that would be just such a fabulous idea. It would create revenues, create some focal point from all over the country, the news, and that would just and I think that that would motivate a lot of people.
And what I discovered a few years ago when we moved to Las Vegas, and I was learning more about Las Vegas artists, I learned that some just hide. They claim, I just live here, but I'm not involved in art community here. They have presence all over the country, sometimes abroad, but this is just place to live and create in their bubble, in isolation.
They're almost afraid to be identified as local artists, because they're put in the same pot with a lot of people who are and everybody who expresses themselves artistically. More power to them. But unfortunately for us old timers or new timers who are having a certain vision for it's sometimes difficult, and it's very unfortunate that people hide because they said, I'm not a local artist. I don't want to be a local artist. I don't want to be put in that category. and
Or
affiliated with this.
Yeah.
And I said, what a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame, because the highest quality is just being hidden, and you can say we went to a few shows, and and you see them in having an international recognition, but they say I don't want to have anything to do with this, and it's very unfortunate.
No, you brought up something that was beautiful, is the freedom of self-expression, which I feel like that is one of the biggest art that we forget. And for us, the liberation on this show is we focus on speaking truth and bringing on people who are going to speak their truth regardless of what it feels like to others. But we do want to share our message freely because we want to attract other people to us that are either struggling or has a sense of loneliness, as you mentioned, right? But something
Beautiful
that
way to put it,
has resonated is that what fine arts was to me when we were at your house, just looking, is that the previous weekend I went to a digital art show, right? And it's immersive, it's the smell, the sound, it's just very bombarding. But when I was at your house, I felt a sense of peace and groundedness, because it reminds me to just be collected and be present and really just let the art take me. And I don't need all of this stimulation, because we are so digitally driven that sometimes we forget what it's like to just stand, sit, dine, talk with one another, and like put away our phones and just really connect on a human level, that we forget what that's like because we're just so distracted by so many things. And I kind of question myself, like, what is art? What is it supposed to do to me? What is it like? What am I supposed to feel, right? But when you're in the moment of art, you forget, and then you remind yourself, this is life, standing, looking at the water, feeling the breeze, looking at the art, especially the two in your living room, the yearning, one of my favorite thing is you've done human emotions so well that through the eyes and through just the way you present yourself through your art, it's like it made me feel emotions. And that's something that I feel it's really hard to define on an art level. Like when you were explaining, the two with the snake and the heart and the yearning, I felt those emotions, and I just felt like, wow. Like I didn't know this is what like being in front of a gallery of art is supposed to be anymore. And just real hospitality and that.
So
You
for
said
us,
so many beautiful things.
for
That's
us,
really
this
terrific.
is extremely important to get in touch with people who are interested in art, who love art, not necessarily collectors who gonna buy it, but just put somebody in front of the painting with completely peace and quiet environment, and let them feel their emotions. I don't like explaining too much about my paintings. I like when they speak for themselves. This is visual art, so words are completely unnecessary.
This is also what is, I think, very distractive to visual arts, is that people right now, because there's instant gratification. You have to understand everything immediately. You have to experience everything immediately, and it's just killing. I mean, it's killing the true purpose of creativity, because sell the story. That's what it is. Sell the story. Give us a story.
Yeah. What's your spiel?
What's your spiel? What's the story behind this?
I hate
so
this one.
And it's just how long it take you to do this, and it's just.
You don't look like an artist. You should be, looking quite
Give me
crazy.
a 30-second elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Like, how tiring is that nowadays?
Yeah, so it's all of it. All of it is just we basically what we're trying to always say to people, and we've built for some time a very successful business on that, and a very successful kind of life, because it's not only that we try to survive on that, we also try to. This is our life. This is what we breathe and every day. So we
This is not our job. This is what we are.
As you said, just slow things down. We really would love to slow things down, because the stimulation that you get from AI or some immersive experiences with art, all great and dandy. That's just this is cool. But 5 minutes and I'm done.
Yeah.
We're a piece of art, and we've been
And
to
overloaded.
overwhelmed. But we've been to many beautiful homes here in Las Vegas and Henderson, and unfortunately, in our opinion, because we are not here to judge anybody's taste. But in our opinion, there is that element that is lacking of like that piece of art that people just say, oh, you have to take a look at this. This is the way I feel about it. So art brings certain emotions to your home that makes it like almost like a spiritually safe place for whoever lives there, and it's a reflection of who they are. So it creates a home instead of just putting something on a wall or a podium.
Yeah, and for me, connecting person with piece of art, they really respond to. They feel, I don't know, this inner connection which they sometimes are willing to express, sometimes not. Sometimes people get so emotional that they are crying. And this is amazing. Amazing. I love people when people cry.
I'm an ugly crier, by the way. It's not cute.
So this is the most rewarding experience for an artist, to evoke emotions in other people.
Yeah. Well, I have
bring something to surface.
I have to speak to that because since I've been in your home, I have been challenged with conflict. I have been given love and expression. Amazing, remarkable things have happened. And I'm not saying that it's just because I went to your house, but what was really interesting about after our conversation and incredible food, by the way, thank you for that. You took us into one of the rooms where a lot of your art has been transformed into small prints in shadow box frames. And you gave all of us the opportunity to choose one, but you gave me one. You said, this one is for you. That one sits next to my bed. And since
so personal.
I wake up to it every morning and I think, I lay there and I think, and I look at it before I go to bed at night. And sometimes that's a large gap in between because I'm busy. But I just want to say this because it's something that now, in what you're talking about, I keep hearing, I've heard it, it's scratched at my soul. And now I have to put it down because it's almost a principle to what Tanya and I have discussed. The role of this show, we have a responsibility to get to the truth. And this is probably one of the more poetic ways to circle Mike Kim into this conversation. Mike is somebody that Tanya and I both know. He's somebody that uses words more eloquently than most artists I've ever known. But he has 3 really simple questions that have really helped me understand more of who I am and to challenge other people. And I think it's a perfect segue because the responsibility that I have now that's echoed through the experience of you guys with your home, the piece of art that you gave me, which
is called Rescue from Mundane, and that's
love that.
That's what to me it's just what your podcast is all about. It's rescuing from mundane, just run away from mediocrity and try to elevate our minds and our awareness and God bless you guys.
Perfect. And you teed it up beautifully because now let's rescue from mundane. Let's not ask the surface level questions of what do you do. Mike's 3 questions. What pisses you off? What breaks your heart? And what problem are you trying to solve? Right? So as you really internalize that, one of the things that's always pissed me off is when people look at this community and they think that we're just the Strip and that we all live in the cosmopolitan. Now I live in the Wynn, but that's a different story. I'm just kidding. I really
Patch of grass outside.
But and then what breaks my heart is I know when I remember the day that I drove into this community in a rental car one way, I know there was 100 people that were leaving this city.
Yeah.
Because
of you were coming?
No. No, more because they came here. They
got
came
the news.
Yeah, right.
They're like, oh shit, we gotta pack our shit.
Not even gonna try.
We gotta get out of here.
But no, and the problem that I'm trying.
David is coming. David is coming.
The problem that I'm trying to solve is that I believe that we can connect the people of this community and really show the world who we really are. Right.
Yeah.
So, and it echoes through the conversations that we have here now. And I know that there are challenges that you see in the art community. I know that there's challenges that you see in our ecosystem as a whole. But again, while ego is one thing, this isn't an ego play here. It's like the true understanding of why you see these challenges are echoing what pisses you off, what breaks your heart, and what problem are you trying to solve. So I pass those questions to each of you, and then we start firing shots at how we fix it. So
Go ahead. What pisses you off, honey?
What
Except
pisses
me.
me off?
Go off.
It was my first thought, actually. What pisses me off? People who don't keep their word. We meet, because of our profession, so many people. And we hear so many beautiful things, amazing, about collaborations, about introducing us to other people who love art, about whatever we can do together or whatever they want from us and we can provide for them. And like 99.9% just disappear, they don't follow through. And this is what makes me really upset, because you are getting like burned down inside, completely burn down, burn out. How it is in English.
Burning.
Oh, I'm burning. Yes, which actually my one of my paintings is called Burning Desires, and there's a lot of fire in it. But this is what pisses me off. What was the second?
what breaks your heart?
What breaks my heart? Well, it's gonna be very personal. What breaks my heart, and it's never gonna be mended. My experiences from my private life when my kids were disconnected with me for about 10 and 12 years. I have two sons. One is almost 27. Other one is almost 21. I love them very much, but because of how life went and how life was directed not by me but people with more means and more power than I had, we got disconnected for so many years, and we keep finding each other again. We keep learning each other, but and I hoped that what we experienced with my kids together when they were small, it's still there in their hearts, like it's in my heart, and this is based to build on our adult relationship. Yes, so this is what's breaking my heart. This time we lost.
And then all of that builds the character of who you are, not just in your story, but in the story of the history of this community. With all of that, what problem are you trying to solve?
What problem I'm trying to solve? I'm trying to figure out how to find people who think alike, how to find people which I can have honest conversation, I can find some understanding, some, let's say, not moral, but, like support on this more spiritual, higher level. I can just connect with them. It's not gonna be empty conversation, and if we're gonna see each other again, for both parties doesn't mean much. I would love to find my tribe. I would really love to.
I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Love that.
And me, first question: what pisses you off?
What pisses you off?
Well,
You can pull out the laundry list
I'm
now.
gonna be. I'm not gonna just do like a shorter version here because But I have to tell you the story. We're invited, and it's gonna answer the question. We're invited to some fundraising event in somebody's home, and another one of those experiences, fake experiences, and the question was asked to all the participants: what if they had magic wand? What would they change? Okay, and everybody's going out there trying to promote themselves and blah blah blah. And I'm just going like, oh my god, this is. And I was my turn to say this. If I had a magic wand, I would just get rid of all the bullshit.
Boom.
Yeah, and
And it was like,
and it was just like. what did just happen? You know, but that's
80%
very
of
true.
people
So
would
this
disappear.
this is what really pisses me off, because it's just it's just so present. It's just so everywhere. And to me, it's just people get more sophisticated with their BS instead of trying to spend their energy on becoming better people and more truthful people. So that really makes me upset. What breaks my heart? Kind of the same thing from a different angle, you know, that people just do not communicate honestly with each other, that we don't have enough courtesy towards one another, respect towards one another, and I always believe that the biggest gift we can give another human being is to be truthful, and I also write music and anyway, but one of the songs that is just the lyrics are saying, you know, the hardest thing in being is to be yourself, and I truly believe that, and it really it's a sad thing that actually is the truth, that, you know, we struggle and we are not in the environment conducive to us being ourselves, because we're constantly being judged, and that makes us shy away for whatever reason, for whatever the reason is.
But Wojtek, if I can interrupt, being in
No,
art...
you can. It pissed me off. No, it's just-
Yeah, that's great. Your blood is gonna just,
No,
run faster. But
that was supposed to be a joke.
but I was serious.
No, you go ahead.
And I lost my thought right now.
Good. So I'm gonna go to what do we do?
And this is what's happening in our house all the time. So these are our creative discussions.
Well, in that, like, then ultimately, thank you for sharing that. But also, what is the problem that you hope to solve, or what is the problem that you're trying to solve through that expression?
Well, yeah, what I'm trying to, you know, I would love to see, and again, this is where the things are in transition. I think is the places in transition, or people are in transition, or the society is in transition, or communities in transition. I think this is the most productive time to actually inject those ideas, because if you are too late, if something is already formed in a certain way, injecting something new is very difficult. So if there would be my dream, if as this city builds, it grows, I think that would be just a wonderful thing if we became a city of truth, you know. And I know this is a utopic concept, but I think that if people start coming out of woodwork and actually communicate with one another in a truthful and respectful manner, I think that is the first step of creating a healthy community which can then strive and grow. That I would love to do that, and with me getting in trouble so many times for speaking the truth, I said I don't give a damn, you know, and sometimes I know that I'm leaning towards, you know, these people are never going to talk to me again, and I just said, okay, fine, you know, if this is what it is, and it's not even delivery. Sometimes delivery is maybe not appropriate, or maybe it's not the way I would, because I get all emotional about it. But, you know, the fact of the matter is the truth, and my opinion, I'm entitled to it, and I'm gonna listen to somebody's opinions as well. So I think that you know, just really, I would love to work in a way, and I feel like almost this podcast, what you guys doing, and this what is so attractive to us, that from your visit to our home and to now, is just that you are really trying to do that. You're being proactive, and you are saying, okay, I'm sticking my reputation, my podcast, my guests, and everything, and I put a step forward to make this a better place. So, more power to you, and thank you for just including us in that.
No, thank you for that.
And if I can say one more thing, you know, you mentioned judgment, constant judgment. And for artists, in whatever field, this is what's happening constantly, because you have to put yourself out there. and you put out there piece of your soul. This is the most vulnerable part of you. And you wait, what people gonna say, how it's gonna be received, what you're gonna hear, nice words, encouragement, or somebody on Facebook because guy had a bad day, gonna say really horrible things, which gonna bring you down and crash for a long, long time. So
You have to detach yourself from it.
yeah, you have
but
to
unfortunately-
try detach yourself from it. Yes, but people who start, it's very difficult. People who are not sure if they are on the right path or they didn't achieve this what they really would like to. It can be very discouraging sometimes.
And this is
Yeah.
if I may, this brings us to a larger, I think, issue as far as what you are talking about in Vegas as a community. I think, and when you have an environment when people are prone to detach themselves from getting involved, from speaking their minds, or they feel alienated, I think this is not a healthy place to build a community. So I think that encourage people in developing the sense of trust in one another. I think that is one of the most important elements of healthy community. I spent many years in Vermont in a very small, very beautiful community of people who were just basically were loving each other, caring for each other, and they were quite educated, sophisticated, and they were quite uneducated and unsophisticated, but we didn't care. Everything was in one pot, and we were treating each other as people. And interesting thing about it is because Vegas is similar to that in a much larger scale. Celebrities would gravitate to that town. It was Woodstock, Vermont, and they would build it. Aerosmith had a farm there. There were just all kinds of different celebrities. They were walking down the street, and nobody would bother them. Fashion models and things like that. Politicians, and I had them in the gallery all the time, and nobody would bother them. They would just there was this beautiful sense of everybody is equal and everybody should respect one another and that was beautiful, and I think I got a little spoiled living in that bubble for so many years, and then I went to the world and just realized that
Well,
things are a little bit different.
Personally, I wouldn't take it as spoiled, and then you just have to deal with people that don't get it. It's like, again, it comes back to that responsibility. You guys have said so many things that have just seriously scratched at my soul, and now I feel like I got to get loud about this stuff because when you talk about artists, I think everyone has a different responsibility, and it's the responsibility that we believe that we have. And some people are inspired by art, some people are inspired by music, some people believe that they have to go work in a 9-to-5 cubicle and work at the DMV. And for those people, those are the people that helped us get our driver's license.
Absolutely.
So we can drive around and listen to your music or go see the things that we want to see. And I think everyone plays this different role. And one of the things that I definitely want to touch on, and I'm going to go off on a rant here because you mentioned the people that flake and the people that get so inspired. And I think if it's anything like the experience that we had, or at least that I had when we went to your home, you immediately walk into a reflection of yourself. And you take everything that you've brought on this journey and you're like, oh, wow, what I thought I knew before I walked into this house is a big part of it. But I remember one of the paintings that I looked at, when I saw it, I felt like it was an expression, but I wasn't sure. And I asked, oh, what's this one? And it was the one that you said was inspired since you've been in Las Vegas, because I could see architecture, and nothing resembles the Vegas skyline. It was sharper than anything else that I had seen in your house. And I felt like that was architecture.
It was my
Vegas #1, and it was my something like Vegas boiled to this in my head when we moved in. Then right now I have much vaster I don't know if this word exists actually, Vester, experience. I know more about
Uncle
Vegas.
Vester. It's Uncle Vester.
So wider experience. I have much richer
maybe.
image of Vegas in my head.
Sure.
But it was my very first impression.
Yeah, good. Well, when now, and your first impression is probably was conceptualized by a lot of things. Since that time, you guys, I have been, I'm sure Tanya has been too, we've been hurt by people who get really excited and they say they're going to do these things and then they don't, right?
Yeah.
I want to hit on that because
Big
it's
time,
something that they're
big
like,
time.
as you were talking about it, I was like, oh, I know I don't have the solution to that, but what I will do is this is kind of calling out anyone else who, it's not who runs from things. It's just, I feel a lot of people that get excited about something, or they're challenged by somebody who's, sees something in a different way. A lot of people that run from it, it's about fear, right? Ultimately,
Very
fear
true.
is what makes people behave the way they do. It's either out of fear or it's out of love. And there's this, again, since I received that piece from you, there's a poem that keeps coming up, right? And I have to share it now because I feel like it's going to be part of a conversation in time, but it's really trying to magnetize and polarize those people that are like us, that believe that what we believe.
Amen.
And I'm just hitting it here because I was like, I've got to say it at this point. And it's by Marianne Williamson, and for the conversation around God or universe, however you see it. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are we not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that people won't feel insecure around you. We are meant to shine as children do. We were born to manifest the glory of God that's within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Very
Beautiful.
true. Beautiful and very
Yeah.
truthful. Very truthful.
And you mentioned pandemic. I think many people got time to rethink their lives, to reflect on it, to do maybe change something to get closer who they really are, because they just got some time on their hands, which would never happen without pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pandemic,
Well,
I believe, was one of the most
and-
remarkable things to happen
Yeah.
in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And where everyone was at, it's very similar to some of those challenging things where everyone was at during 9/11, and that's a whole different story. But
Yeah.
I was on the other side of the world on my first deployment in the Marine Corps, and like I look at the world differently because of that experience.
Absolutely.
Just as I do being here in Las Vegas, in a city that relied on live events and just having their doors open 24/7. It's not just having the stages and all those things closed. I mean, like the Strip became a piece of architecture, and that was it. With
Well,
the
you know,
doors closed.
Yeah.
And
I think that's that what you're just saying is just really fantastic, and I it's almost like I feel that it's inappropriate for me to have such a strong opinions about the city, but in the same time, if I do not have a strong opinion about it, how can
Yeah.
I contribute? How can I be a productive part of the society or contributing to the growth, which excites me? And I think that your podcast, and I didn't even know that was existing. I think your podcast, if it continues to go in the direction that you are describing you are going, I think it is an extremely powerful tool to create a group of people who would feed off each other with that creativity and try to really unselfishly build something new and awesome, you know, and that would include, you know, that lady in the cubicle in at DMV. We never know if this person is not yearning for seeing art. If we had a client who never ever bought a piece of art in his life, and he's in his 60s. He's in construction. He never thought that, you know, he thought the art was the stupidest thing. His children, when he bought a piece of art, thought that he
went crazy.
He went crazy. So that kind of environment, and he came to us and saw Kasia's work, and he transformed. And he transformed, and then we got to know him, okay? So this tough construction guy is telling us, you know, when I was in high school, I was in the theater program, or I was loving acting. I was loving, so all those things are being pulled out. And he's saying, I'm catching myself in front of the painting, sitting for hours and kind of meditating. And I'm just saying, if we can, the construction worker, all those jobs that we usually affiliate with the lack of sensitivity or receptive soul,
It's
or saying,
completely not like
it's
this.
not true. People, I don't know anything about art. I think everybody knows everything what they need to know about art.
Yeah.
It's just a question of pulling them out and saying, okay, just look at things, you know, and just create your own universe, whatever you respond to, and try to grow with it and try to be open-minded about it. And then this lady from the cubicle is going to go to, hey, I went to this museum, it was so awesome, you know, what a good, this kind of changed my mind, and maybe life is going to be different, maybe life is going to get richer. So I know all those things. I mean, I've been always, you know, my mom was always saying to me, you know, you're going to get on this white horse and you're going to just go through life on the white horse, and I fell off of this goddamn horse so many times that it's not even funny. But I'm trying to get back on it. But when I see other people trying to get on those white horses all around me, I'm saying, okay, maybe we can ride together and maybe create something bigger. So I think that's what you guys doing is a part of it, and God bless you for doing so. I mean, really.
And you know what's funny? It's the context of this is total stranger danger, that if we were to tell anybody how we all met, they would be like, what the hell? Because I use such a digital way to reach out to you, and you responded back with a very old-fashioned way, which spoke to me, because if anyone in modern day now invites a stranger to their house, they're gonna be like, oh my God, am I gonna get murdered?
Am I safe?
Like what is going on? Should I drop my location? Should I? But we had conversation, we got on the phone, we talked, and then, you know, I reached out to Dave. I was like, hey, like we need to go. We need to go here. And he's like, what? Like, when's the last time someone invited you to their house? I'm like, not often. And that's why it was so magical, because for us, with the food, you're going to bring up the food.
No, I was going to say, by the way, Tawny doesn't just go anywhere.
And I don't leave my house for any reason unless it's absolutely necessary. I'm going to put that out there. Don't invite me to your house, please. Thank you. I'm done. I'm maxed out.
But she's coming to our house. They're coming to our house.
Their house only. But anyway, so I just wanted to bring up that point, that lost art of just communication. Like, my word is my bond, right? So I hope that when I act in a certain way, I hold my integrity, I treat people right. I don't need to be telling other people, like, hey, kind of like when you mentioned all of our frustrations and what breaks our heart and what pisses us off, it always seems to be reflective of the projection of other people and how they can't show up for us in the same way that we would want to show up for people. And I think for me, and in this platform specifically, it's that the message that, you know, when Dave was reading the poem, like, and I'm just sitting here in your words and we're just kind of bouncing and I'm just kind of marinating in this awesomeness, is that, like, we have a responsibility to communicate better, like you said. But now it's like communication is such an art. Disagreement is such an art. Telling other people how we feel is such an art that people suppress for so many years, just because it's not just by trade and what they identify with, what they do for a job. It's just a lack of self-awareness to even want to connect to other people, because I joke with him, like, he's the excitable one, I'm the cynical one. Because over the years of getting burned, of being in the hospitality, of being in the people field, I developed such a callus around my heart for so many years that because I'm like, if I don't have this wall up, people are going to keep hurting me. and people are going to take advantage. And if I don't people please in a certain way, then when I stand up for my truth, which I started to in the last couple of years, and the best thing I ever did was I learned the ability how to be disliked, because I make room now for people that love me for who I am, and I just stand up.
This is beautiful.
You know,
and you see, you know,
And we have very similar dynamic between both of us. I'm on this dark side much more than Wojtek.
she's pulling me there.
we
so
have
strong.
cookies.
But the thing is, like, you know, you just you know, this type of conversation. I mean, it's just okay. It started organically from you know.
I slid
You
into
know,
your
let's know,
DMs.
okay, action, you know, and we don't know what we're going to be talking about. It organically grows into something just phenomenal, and I think that if we can somehow send the message to whoever sees that podcast, and hopefully it encourage them to share that podcast with others, just to say, okay, because we basically are sitting around the table and talking, and you know, as we talk, as we open up, as we develop certain sense of trust to one another, I think that the power can, you know, just it's very powerful. And when you have those conversations, and if you are, and if I may say to your audience, may I?
Absolutely.
Please, you know,
Our audience.
yeah, thank you.
What's ours is yours.
Well, thank you. You know, please share this. Please be empowered by it, and please contact them to if you're frustrated, if you think that, you know, the love is lost, the trust is lost, and everything like this, you know, it's not. It's just hiding. It's been suppressed, like just Tony said. That it's suppressed. You know, part of our journey was also when we, you know, again. You know, I've been in art business for a long time. I've been in the private eye for almost 25 years, and many times on the high level. And one day, basically, we just got so fed up. We were living in woods of Indiana for 2 years in a small house, and I was.
It was our retreat at
because
this
we
moment.
just could not take people anymore. It was just, and it was unfortunate because, you know, But again, you know, I was wearing overalls or wearing nothing, or, you know, showering in the rain.
This nothing was
That
interesting.
sounds fucking amazing. I inspired.
Well,
that's on my vision
I have
board.
pictures of
Not the
him
overalls, but-
showering in the rain. I'm not gonna share it, don't worry. But I still
Paint is
have
part
it,
of the
and this is
slideshow.
very precious, actually.
No, but you have to tell you, this is something, but and that we and many times we don't have a luxury to just go off like this, and we need it so very little. I mean, you know, sometimes I had the difficulty putting the shoes on because I didn't wear shoes for like such a long time that it was completely different. It was just.
He was walking like cat in the boots.
Yeah,
He just was learning again.
But it was
awesome.
an experience, you know, that also taught me a lot. Also gave me an understanding of this country a little bit more, of being in the rural Midwest environment, you know. So gave me more of an understanding, not just a judgment. But anyway, I really hope that, you know, I have tendencies to get overexcited about things like this. This is just conversation, but I hope that, you know, what you guys are doing and what we are trying to do, it's gonna spread like a maybe not a wildfire, because, you know, but just organically it's gonna grow, and a group of people is gonna be created. An energy is going to be created, and I don't mean to sound like new agey, whatever the patchouli stuff, but I really feel that maybe some more energy can be created to move, that the people alike are going to be gravitating to, and you can create something of substance and beautiful for this really terrific place to live, and so you know, even living here for 7 years, you know, we have a very clear, you know, distinction between Strip and this Las Vegas and the community of Las Vegas, and I know there are a lot of very bright, very wonderful, very open-minded people are living here. They just maybe do not have a courage, or they got so discouraged by speaking out, they just said, okay, screw this all, you know, I'm just gonna mind my own business. So please come out.
Yeah, and I found some connection between poem you read and Wojtek's research recently about fear of failure. This is gigantic thing. This is gigantic issue. You can speak more to it because you learned more about it.
I just fear of failure is actually it's a phobia. It's a science-based phobia, but as I learn more about it, I just see it how often it happens in everyday people's lives, and overcoming that is not very easy. But I think that you never know. I mean, I had no idea that we're gonna meet. I had no idea that we're gonna be this. I had no idea why I said, "Hey, come over to the house." I have no idea how.
That could have been a murder.
I mean, yeah.
my God.
I have no idea, but there is that sense. You still might be, but you're just waiting for a better
You got
moment.
me. That was good.
So
Greg, we gotta clip that.
Okay.
We gotta send that to the FBI to give me some clearance.
yeah.
No, I'm glad you guys didn't quit, because you were sharing the story on how when you had the huge Galleria and people thought you had it all, and usually people that the world perceives to be so unapproachable and so intimidating, and you were like, they didn't know we were living in the back of the Galleria in a tiny little basement.
room,
What did you call it? Like a green room.
It was green room.
Green room.
It was in old hotel, which was turned into beautiful, I don't know,
Event space and apartments.
space, apartment building, and downstairs like restaurant and our gallery. It was with 2 beautiful ballrooms and some.
It was gorgeous.
It was top of the top in Midwest town.
I think I would not even a Midwest town.
Yeah.
People might get a little bit
Where was it?
different. I mean, I think it was just top notch. It was
Yeah.
it was from the era of Al Capone and bootlegging.
Secret tunnels,
and things
yes,
like that.
between,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
So
between
it
our,
was very cool. It was just, but Louisville was a very vibrant city at that point.
Oh yeah, all the distilleries. That's right.
Yeah, so between place when we owned our gallery, which was Henry Clay Building, Silbach Hotel, where Great Gatsby was created, was quite close, and there was, I don't know, rumor, truth, that there were secret tunnels during Prohibition era between those 2 hotels.
Yeah.
So it was quite. I have goosebumps when I talk about this.
But
And-
on a largest we can go back to the subject that we were kind of trying to focus on. We strayed away, all of us,
With
in
fear.
a beautiful
Unfair,
way.
unfair, yeah.
In a beautiful
Yeah,
way.
that's-
But I think that the experience of Louisville gave us a little bit knowledge and perspective on when coming here to Vegas, because Louisville at the time was also a town which was in a transformation. They tried to find their own identity as who they are. There was an influx of all kinds of different business people, young people, and they came with a lot of hopes. And there's a street called Bardstown Road, and it was very similar to Arts District. And there was the same kind of dynamic that, this is what people were affiliating with, arts and good time, but where it was actually with 25 to 35 crowd, having good time, getting a few drinks and whatever, find a date. But and this is kind of feels to me like the art district is here. That is just a fun destination. It's colorful. It's kind of funky. You can smoke pot. You can drink and
For younger crowd.
For the younger crowds. But for the world outside, and for people who are not many people don't go there, but it's the arts district. So it's this, oh my God, this might be a mecca for art, No. No, and then you go there, and we've heard from so many people who really just go there with the expectation, and they go like, what the hell was that? And unfortunately, so that part also is very important for those who want to create, who want to just have a good time, for younger generation, or for they exploring their creativity. But I believe, and I try to do it in Tivoli Village, once to create almost like a mecca for art on a different level, where people can actually come and feel comfortable, and just nobody's going to be snooty and judgmental, but the art itself and people themselves will be of high quality and open mind and heart. So I feel like we are just
bringing great artists from all over the world, all over the country.
You guys are inspiring. That's I'm always get scared of that.
Well, this is maybe a hard question, right? But I think when we see a challenge with any kind of community, like you may see a lot of challenges with the art district as it exists right now, because of the places you've been and the things you've seen. It's very easy to present those challenges out of shame and say it's no good.
Yeah, I know.
How do you bring light to that in a way that isn't out of shame? It's out of, how do you spark that curiosity within other people to
Beautiful
really
question.
ask themselves, how can I make this it's like, how do you, it's like, I know it's funny because it was like in jobs, right? It's like, how do you show somebody something how do people know what they want if they've never seen it before? How do you spark that curiosity within, because I know you're not the only people that see that challenge. There's different ways. How do you create that and spark that curiosity with the next generation to take it to the next level?
Yeah.
Beautiful question, beautiful way to put it.
And criticism doesn't have to be mean.
Yeah,
It can be very constructive.
You see, that's the biggest challenge.
It depends from
You know,
which
this is the
place
biggest
it's
challenge.
coming.
This is the biggest challenge, because when I say, for example, I believe this, and that, okay? Many times, okay, maybe it's also a generational thing. Maybe it's just everybody's so sensitive. Everybody gets award for participating. Any criticism is just taken as something mean. Yeah. Absolutely not. As I said before, I applaud everybody who is trying to be creative. Not everybody is gonna be as good, as successful as others. But any form of creativity, if it's theater, if it's sculpture, paintings, AI, whatever it is, a restaurant, food, all those things are just really beautiful because they are people expressing themselves, and if they can have an outlet in that area, that's wonderful. But I also, I feel like we both and so many others have a right to protect what we believe in. We do not have to. We can go hand in hand. You can have, okay, you are feeling great and wonderful there. That's wonderful. Yeah. But let's create something different. Yeah. That will be great and wonderful for different group of people. Yeah. And no, we don't have to judge. We don't have to criticize. We don't have to be better or worse.
We don't have to compete.
We don't have to compete. But we can just just create a larger picture. So absolutely, there's approaching. This is, and I hope this is gonna be really understood that this is not a question of we say oh this gallery sucks or this and that. Yeah. It's not a question of like whatever. This is This is how we see it, and we would love for people to say, okay, something, I feel the same way, but I'm afraid to say it. And I don't think it's right.
I think that's it right there. And this is my challenge to anyone that's listening to this, right? Is that because I know that in comparison to other communities, like there is a lot of kinetic power and energy that's happening right in this community. And some of it is very concentrated to the arts district. But for anyone that's ever rolled through there and said there's got to be more, or for the people that are within it right now that are saying to themselves, I feel like it could be, but they're holding themselves back because they are challenged with the bubble that is around them.
Wonderful.
Do it.
Wonderful.
Just do it. Like it's this. If you need permission, this is your permission. And if you don't, then you now have the invitation and you have our blessing
Yeah, absolutely.
to do the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. David is so right.
do the damn thing.
Just do it. Just communicate with your fellow, art gallery owner, or just talk to somebody. Just you start the conversation within your community, and it's just: do you have a desire to get better? Are you frustrated with the results that you are getting? What we can do to who do we talk to?
Yeah.
How do we express our frustrations? How do we express our concerns? Again, even an hour ago, I didn't know that we were going to be talking like this, and we could probably talk forever, but it's just, but please, just.
Well,
And-
go ahead.
Okay, and there is one more thing. Artists need supporters. They need patrons. They need some injection of positive energy
And hope.
and reason to create, and very trivial thing, money.
Yeah.
In order to buy materials, in order to support place to live, in order to have peace of mind so they can focus on their creativity. And this is lack of this is something what kills people.
Yeah.
Desire to create. People just have to look for day jobs, or
Give up
they
completely.
they give up completely. They commit suicide in extreme situations. So if people want to see arts district or other, I don't know, art in in Las Vegas, in different shape, in different condition, they have to support it somehow. They have to do their part. Artists do creative part. They have to do supportive part. If they are, if they will, and they have means to do it. Don't hold back.
If they cannot do it financially, which is totally understandable, and artists many times don't. We don't expect that everybody's going to come in and buy something. This is not about that.
No.
But just word of encouragement, the word creating conversations, like you just guys did. Be constructive. Be self-aware of certain maybe shortcomings that you might have, and be critical in a positive and constructive way. Wonderful, and that's how you build, that's how you grow, and that's how you also gain respect of the public that comes your way. And for the public, just even if you see something that you don't like or something of that sort, please be encouraging, please be kind, be nice. It's not a question of you buying. If you can, please buy. If you like it, that's great. But just to
we never know how people can grow year, 2, 5 years, where they can get with right support.
Absolutely.
As we close on what is only the beginning of a conversation that needs to be had, right? That we will continue to have for many events and many amazing afternoons and evenings to come. This isn't just in the container of Las Vegas, because we're not just speaking to ourselves here at the table. We're speaking to the whole network of cities where I've been in the past, where Tani's been, where you've been, and for everybody that's began listening to this conversation in episodes in the past and found peace in it, we're speaking to their communities too. So if you had one piece of advice to anyone who is living in that fear through their art, that it's that thing that they know. Like what advice would you have for anyone who wants to do the thing, who build the community, to be a character in this quest that we're all on? What piece of advice would you give to that person listening today?
Well, one major advice that I've been given as a consultant or a person who worked with close to 1,000 artists, just forget the ego, okay? Just drop the ego, because ego is always gonna get in your way. Ego is not it's so much affiliated with artistic souls, but But if you are thinking about not just yourself, but about the community, you have to drop the ego. You need to drop the ego, because if you self-centered and many times understood, because you say, okay, I don't care, I just want to survive. But if you just take the leap of faith, drop the ego and get involved with others, talk to others, try to find solutions, that's what I definitely would encourage. Just to drop the ego, go out there and talk to your fellows, to your people from your tribes, from your environment, and say, have a discussion, have a meeting, and say, what can we do about that? How can we improve? What can we give to each other instead of taking from each other? And I think that is a start that must happen in order for anything to grow. But in arts, it's an extremely powerful tool. Worked for me, worked for many successful art promoters and artists in the past, so I highly recommend it. Just drop the ego and reach out to other fellow and try to be helpful.
I love that.
What would you say?
What would I say? I would say from artist side, people who start, they have certain vision and they don't have abilities yet. They didn't learn their craft. They don't have this physical skill to recreate what's in their mind, in their heads. And many people just give up because what they see here, what they see on the canvas or on 3D sculpture, this is far away from what they wanted to do. But it takes time. It takes years of training. Nothing happens overnight. Don't expect that you're gonna become great and amazing and you're gonna amaze yourself overnight. Just practice, and look for people who are better than you to learn from them. This is what I'm doing constantly. I'm looking for people who are better than I am to get inspired, to learn how they did it. And
even on the level that Kasia is, she still just has that
I'm still
humble spirit.
I'm still practicing. I'm still not there where I would love to be. And thankfully, this is job. As long as you can hold a brush, chisel, whatever is your medium, you can create. There is no retirement plan in 60s, thankfully. So keep going, and you can start in any age.
And be honest to yourself, because I think that's like in a nutshell definition of an artist is somebody who can recreate in a certain form. If it's a visual art or if it's a performing art, whatever, it's a vision that appears in your head, and you recreate this into something that the audience can see. And many times the vision that is in your head doesn't match what comes out. And you have that honest relationship with yourself to see if really I have this vision of creating some sort of monster or whatever, or some landscape or whatever, and it's in my head, it just looks so beautiful, and I try to do this on a canvas and it just doesn't come out that way.
Be ready for a lot of frustration
and rejections.
And how it was in my case, it was a lot of crying, a lot of throwing brushes into my husband when he was coming with constructive criticism, a lot of packing and leaving and divorcing him because I cannot take it anymore, because he kept saying, you can do this better. And I felt like, I cannot. Yes, you can do this better.
Sometimes artists just don't believe in themselves, and please be aware of that. If you're an artist, many times you just don't believe in yourself, and like in any other aspects of life, we just sometimes don't believe that in ourselves, and sometimes others have much more faith in us that we have in ourselves,
But this is very lucky when somebody has supporter like this, person who understands when.
And actually, I'm gonna, if I may say that, is just so if somebody's watching this, okay, I'm semi-retired from from art. You know, I do free services. I just work with Kasia, try to explore different areas of my creativity for myself, because I spend most of my life promoting creativity of others. If anybody listens to this, I am open. Please contact me. I offer free advice to artists from all over the world, and encouragement and truly constructive and respectful criticism. So if you hear this, please contact me, and I'll be happy to maybe give you a little nudge in the right direction from what my understanding. So, but it's completely free, and that is something that I get a lot of satisfaction out of, and some people get really pissed off at me. Some people get very appreciative. You know, so, but that's a part of the journey. Yeah.
With that being said, and it's in the show notes as well, but where can people connect with you? Where's the best place to find and connect with you?
Well, there are two websites. My company it's company, but it's a big word for that right now. But it's just kind of leftover from my 30 years of career in art. But it's called Fine Art Firm Global. And you can go to fineartfirm.com, and you can see that you can learn about me or what I do, and you can also see the artists and the way we approach art itself, what our philosophy is. And if there's a contact there, you can just email me and I say, hey, Wojtek, what do you think about this? Or I saw your podcast, you're an asshole. Or, however, so that whatever it's on your mind, and kind of gives you the starting point of a conversation. I will always welcome you, and I will try to do my best.
Yeah, and I always respond to people via social media, people from all over the world. That sometimes they have really strange questions. Sometimes they want my advice as far as their artwork. Sometimes they want to express their appreciation. Sometimes criticism, but this is good way to reach me via my website or via social media.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I always respond.
We treat everybody with respect, and if we give any time we can give to those who are throwing themselves out there into the creative world, because we understand how difficult it is, and we respect that very much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you again for being here and showing up with such humility. How do you feel? I know you've...
No, it's great. And I would encourage anyone who is coming in from anywhere in the world, as you're coming here for different things, however you found the show or however you got connected to us, there is just an amazing experience that's a few phone calls away to come in and experience an afternoon or an evening. And I know you'll have more events, and as you guys have events, we'll love to share those as well. But I have to add this little point, because I tell people often that my life, especially in this city over the last 5 years, has been sort of this Forrest Gump side quest on psychedelics. And I end up in some really remarkable rooms with some incredible people. But as we were leaving your house, it was so beautiful, because you said, oh my gosh, are you familiar with Social Register? And that the house where you guys live is Claire Zito's old house, who created Social Register. And that was one of the first organizations I found. One of the first events that I went to was at the Foundation Room. And since that time, Mary Grace has taken over the organization, and she was one of the most critical people to help me build a large network and it was just amazing to know that essence of that house where you do have your art has created so many amazing relationships here in Las Vegas, and will continue to do so. And I think it
sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
That sounds very wonderful and encouraging and hopeful. And I have to tell you, I'm just gonna leave this space so stoked that I'm just almost afraid, because it's just like
now we got to do it, right?
Now we got to do it.
I'm afraid.
I'm preaching, and then I'm gonna. I have to. I mean, there's no stopping. There's no turning point. I love being in a point of no return, because I don't like make an ass out of myself. So if you commit yourself to something, you have to follow through, and if they allow us to be a part of their journey, that would be just our privilege, so
then I've done my job.
Yeah.
Hop on.
As long as if you
Hop
leave
on.
if you leave this studio scared, I've done my job.
I guess that's
and
the
I
new
would-
synopsis we
Yeah,
should
right.
put in
Yeah.
the show notes. Is like, be afraid of Dave, please. He will cry or
And
I cannot wait for the Halloween edition of that show. That's gonna be.
Yeah, and I would like to say that our studio house is always open to art lovers, people who live here, artists, collectors, people who are just interested in art, people who are visiting Vegas. So
Just please be sincere about it. Please
Yeah,
be sincere about it,
that's-
and you know,
that's true.
and this is what we feel, and we feel like both of them are just so sincere and kind, and that's just very cool. And we would like to, yes, if you start with that basic couple words, integrity, sincerity, humility, honesty, those are very simple things to do. If you're not really defending yourself from it, those are very simple things to do. And if you're there, you're welcome to our lives as well. And let's build something pretty cool. These
we
guys
look
are-
forward to taking this forward with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, guys, that's it for us today. Please reach out, slide into our DMs, just like I slid into their DMs. So what's the grammar on that?
Yeah.
Dave and I are
Slided.
also one touch away. We got to protect them first, right? We can't be giving their
Yeah.
address
Yeah,
on
right.
the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
But if there's anyone else you would like to hear from, or is there any way we can connect you with anyone that we know in our network, please do reach out. Anything else, please let us know. And just look forward to doing some art and creative shit together.
oh,
Right on.
absolutely.
Right on. Right on.
The idea of Pursue Vegas was to really highlight the local people that really make Vegas Vegas.
I love that aspect of how these visionaries are actually bringing people together.
When we hit record, our responsibility is to connect the people of our city so we can show the world who we really are.